In March 2022, LendingTree found that Louisiana ranked ninth for the most vacant homes in the country. Sometimes when a home is left vacant for too long, it can deteriorate into blighted property. In New Orleans, there's an effort to clear out these areas and create healthier environments. Andrea Morris, president of Housing Louisiana, explains new solutions. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Kara.
So, blighted property, when people hear it, they think of just abandoned homes, tires, things just being thrown in places they shouldn't be, but it's actually a legal term. What does it mean?
That's right. So I've got it right here. It's a legal term. Blighted property means those commercial or residential premises, including lots, which have been declared vacant, uninhabitable, and hazardous by administrative hearing officers. So it's a designation. It's a legal designation. What's happened is blight becomes just a catch-all for rundown property, abandoned buildings, and things like that. But it's a legal definition, and it's a set of rules that people need to be more aware of to understand how it gets enforced and how it gets triggered, and really what the underlying problem that blight represents. How do we address that?
So in Louisiana, I just told you about that study from LendingTree, but how is Louisiana's relationship with blight?
It's complicated. One of the things that we have to talk about is that underlying issue is often really disinvestment. Blight is a symptom of a problem in a neighborhood or an area or community where there's not enough investment. People aren't able to keep their own home or keep up rental property or commercial property. It falls into disrepair and it causes real problems for the people who live in that neighborhood. But there's a reason it's allowed to fall into disrepair, because people don't want to be in that neighborhood, either because of environmental issues, or there's been loss of jobs in that area, or who lives there. And so when the folks who are there, who are struggling with, all kinds of vermin and overgrown grass and bad things happening in blighted properties, they want someone to respond. And our elected officials and our policymakers have a set of rules to respond to. And what should be happening is those properties should be put back into commerce. And that often doesn't happen. It gets interrupted by things like our property rights. You don't want to take property. We often think about an older couple struggling, not losing their property, but often that well-intentioned desire to help our neighbors and our family members often is used by unscrupulous bad actors to hang on to property until they can sell it and make the most money with it.
Well, what you were describing earlier, whenever you're talking about the conditions and what it's like living there, how does that affect the quality of life for people that do?
Oh, absolutely. We've seen all kinds of bad things happen when there's too much blighted property in the neighborhood. It brings down property values. It attracts bad individual actors. There are fires, vermin, all kinds of things happen to the people who have to live with it. So people absolutely have a right to be concerned. But we have to be careful, because what you want to do is not simply get rid of blight. You want to attract investment. Investment that will make your neighborhood stronger. You want to see things like community gardens and grocery stores and housing for your neighbors and your family members and your friends, so that your network can stay together and people can live and thrive. Instead, we kind of rush to just get rid of the blight and demo it, and that leads to other problems like people, they dump on vacant land, right? They very rarely dump on, you don't dump tires on a rundown, raggedy house. You dump tires on swaths of vacant lands where, there was maybe dozens of homes that have been demolished because they were blighted. And now it becomes an easier dumping ground because you haven't addressed the underlying disinvestment.
So is there a correlation at all between crime and blight?
It's a correlation. It's not causal, but absolutely correlation. Like I said, blight's a symptom. So in an area where there's going to be high crime, you're also likely to find higher rates of blight. But again, you want to make sure that there's opportunity, there's investment. When we look at who's committing crimes in our communities, it's young people without a lot of options, without a lot of opportunities. You've got to interrupt that cycle of poverty, and that is best interrupted with creating homes that people can afford and live in, that will nurture them, homes that are healthy and strong and give people options and choices and a chance.
So let's talk solutions. You've talked a lot about investment. Is that the only solution to this problem? Are there other things that can help?
It's the best solution to the problem, because it means that the neighborhood, the community is stronger, and it can self-perpetuate and bring additional resources to bear, not just relying on government resources. The government should be as a regulator, as an organizer, almost, instead of the primary investor. So we want to make sure that there are resources there, and that it's a healthy community. So it's not a food desert. The housing is affordable. You've got jobs and grocery stores and restaurants and things like that. And so that kind of investment, that's what everybody wants when they picture their neighborhoods and their community, not raggedy buildings. And so we also want to make sure that the rules prioritize, addressing particularly large-scale commercial blight, and not just focusing on senior citizens who are living check to check or struggling, that we're looking at ending large-scale blight and making those investments real, not just letting people sit on valuable land until they can make the most money out of it.
All right, well, we are out of time. Thank you so much for talking with us. So the gist is just investments, resources that can help with the blight problem.
That's right. You got it.
All right, thank you so much.